Rishi Sunak's elevation as Prime Minister of Britain is certainly a source of joy and pride for all Indians wherever we are. It gives us vicarious pleasure that one of our own, a person of Indian origin, could become Prime Minister of one of the great powers, once a great empire, which ruled us. It's particularly delicious that the colonial power that controlled much of the civilized world in the past, that country is now governed by a person of Indian origin, of a different color, ethnicity, language, culture. And it's perfectly justified that we feel good about it. But we must not be excessively exuberant, because one of the great things about the non-resident Indians wherever they are, or the people of Indian origin is, while we retain our identity as a culture, language, faith, civilization, and values, and families above all, we also mingle with the rest of the society. Do not try and become very different or separate from the others. Indians, wherever they are ambassadors of this country. And therefore, what they do reflects a great deal on the country itself and its future. The reason why much of the Western world appreciates India and its virtues, respects our talent, our youth, is the behavior of the non-resident Indians across the world. Therefore, while we have a right to be happy, while we have a right to enjoy the success of one of our own, and we also derive vicarious satisfaction from the success of Rishi Sunak, we attribute it to all of us, we must not make it a matter of gung-hoism or triumphalism. The second thing is, there's a reason why Indians, when they're given opportunities in the right kind of climate, they are thriving, whether it's in private sector or technology or academia across the world or professions or even in public life. Many of our own, they have become the leaders of mega enterprises at the global level. And in politics, Rishi Sunak is a great example. But even before him, Leo Varadkar became Prime Minister in 2017 of Irish Republic, a person of Indian origin. For 3 years, he was Prime Minister. Similarly, in other countries too, our people achieved success. In the United States, of course, we have Kamala Harris. There are several members of Congress. And in 1 or 2 states, even governors, a couple of states, governors of Indian origin. Similarly, if you take Fiji Islands, one of our own, Mahendra Chaudhary, he became the Prime Minister of the country in 1999. But unfortunately, he could not survive long. After 1 year, he was dethroned in a coup because the local tribals, they became jealous and the military supported them and he had to give up power. Mauritius, the very foundations of Mauritian Republic and their political system are by a person of Indian origin, Shivsagar Ramgoolam. From 1961 to 1985, he played a profound role in the polity of Mauritius. But these are tiny countries and relatively poor countries, and with significant Indian population or people of Indian origin. Britain, the success of Rishi Sunak is a source of special happiness. It has a different flavor. We enjoy it. But why does that not happen in India? Across the world, Indian families bring the virtues of the family, the willingness to sacrifice for the children's future, to encourage the children to be educated, to acquire the skills, putting education on a pedestal, giving them an ambition, stability, and an aspiration. And that is helping the Indians do very well in the rest of the world. But can we think of a 42-year-old in India who has the ability, who has the leadership qualities, who has proven talent, that she or he can rise Indian public life without pedigree, without being the son or daughter of a famous political patron, and without spending absurd sums of money, 50, 60, 70 crores to become an MP, 20, 30, 40 crores to become an MLA? Have we created a meritocracy in our politics? Why is it not happening in India? Let us be truthful. Look at Indian Parliament or state legislatures. Without the family history, without the pedigree, without a political dynasty, How many 25-year-olds or 30-year-olds are legislators in India by virtue of their merit and competence without spending illegitimately crores or rupees? There is something wrong with the political process. We are an authentic democracy. We can be justly proud of that. We have genuine competition in politics and in elections, no question about that. Whatever happens wrong in elections, it does not reflect on what happens in the polling booth. In the polling booth, the voters are voluntarily voting, and the votes are honestly counted by an independent process. We are proud of that. Elected governments are truly in power, not a military junta or some coterie. It is the elected government that is genuinely exercising authority. That is what genuine democracy is about. But that's not enough. It's not enough to have the freedoms. It's not enough to vote. It's not enough that the elected governments are in power. The political process is important. Look at the political parties. Rishi Sunak could become an MP in the first place in a constituency where a former leader of the Conservative Party was the MP. When he retired, Sunak became their parliamentary candidate. How? Not because some leader picked him up, not because of his family background, not because of money. The constituency committee sat, interviewed the potential candidates, and decided that Rishi would do a good job of representing them. That's how he became a parliamentary candidate. Do we have that situation in India anywhere? In choosing our MLA candidates and MP candidates? If they are chosen because of the party connections, pedigree, and money, not competence, and not by the local members or their representatives, how can truly competent, meritocratic people emerge as influential leaders? In our country, youth are encouraged to join political parties. In the most part, youth are only the bearers of the party flag. They are the palanquin bearers. They are not allowed to emerge as leaders in the most part. That is about party democracy. Let us assume that a party did nominate a person of considerable ability at a young age, without money power, without the family, as a candidate for Assembly or Loksatta. Do we have in most parts of the country the conditions in which, without spending outrageous money illegally for vote buying and inducements, do you have a chance of anybody getting elected in this country? There's a by-election on in Telangana. It's going to be held on the 3rd of November in a place called Munugodu for the state assembly. An assembly which only has one more year's life. The widely expected expenditure of the major political parties, the TRS, the governing party in Telangana, BJP, which is fighting to wrest that seat, and the Congress, together are expected to spend upwards of 300 crore rupees. 300 crore rupees for one assembly by-election in one small state in a very poor country. This money is more than what the two major parties in Britain, the Conservatives and Labour Party, they spend in the whole election, in the whole country for the parliament, in a very rich country. If this is our politics, how can merit prevail? How can competence prevail? How can public interest prevail? We have to change the nature of our elections. We have to figure out a way in which competent and public-spirited people are elected through ethical and rational means without this reckless expenditure for vote buying and inducements, or without short-term freebies being the mainstay of the political party's agenda. There's something seriously wrong. And in a country as big as India, unlike Britain, we are 1.4 billion people, 140 crores. Britain is just about 6.5 crore people, 64 million, 65 million. And Britain has only one language, unitary country. We have a vast and diverse caste, region, religion, etc. And very, very big. How can a 25 or 30-year-old be known in this country to rise in politics as leader? You have to have strong and effective local governments in your own municipality, in your city, in your local government with accountability and resources. If real power is given, a bright young person, she can make a difference. She can show her mettle. And because of the proven record of service and success, then she can be considered for office at the state and national level. That's how youth leadership can rise. Otherwise, we'll only have gerontocracy. You will require to be 70 years old to be recognized as a leader at the national level. That's what's happening in our country. It's not that a person beyond 60 or 70 is unfit to govern, but if that is the sole qualification for being considered for political office, then that's a very sad thing. In a country where the median age is 29, that means 50% of our population is below 29 years of age. Not even 10% of our political leadership is below 29 years of age. Not even 5%. Perhaps not even 1%. And the few that are there, they're there because they're the sons and daughters of prominent politicians. This simply is not right. You must have strong and effective and accountable local governments. Bright young people with idealism, with competence, with commitment must be able to join there, serve, make a difference, and then establish the credibility, the reputation, the stature in order to rise in politics. While we enjoy the success of Rishi Sunak, much of it is vicarious pleasure. While we celebrate it, let's also remember that there are things we need to do to make it happen in our country, that bright young people can become politically influential leaders. Political parties' internal democracy in candidate choice and running of the party,